I was an atheist once, and I had my faith come to me. I think that the Lord came and got me. I wouldn't have ever come back if he hadn't. And that has brought me meaning and reality in life that I cannot avoid touching on in my writing.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you're just
Logan
to
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we dive into a haunting and heartfelt story where tragedy, resilience, and magic realism collide. The book is called This Our Faith, and it is written by a terrific author. His name is John Leslie Hart, and in the book, he explores a family in crisis after a horrific accident leaves one son clinging to life and another drowning in guilt. It's a gripping and emotionally charged novel that challenges our understanding of faith, mental health, and redemption. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Brookside Press for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful and inspiring book. The links are below this interview. John, thank you so much for joining me here today.
It's a privilege, Logan, and you're a wonderful interviewer, and I'm honored to be here.
Honored to have you on the show, sir. This book is amazing. I think it's a great contribution to our literary landscape. Let me ask you this, John. What inspired you to write Our Faith and create such an emotionally intense opening scene?
Well, the truth is, a writer has to write about things they know about. And this is a sort of a spiritual autobiography because I lived in that setting. And so I kept the same setting. I tried to preserve that world, which is so vastly different from the world we live in today. And then I laid the structure of a different family on top of it. I actually saw a crash just exactly like that when I was about 8 years old. A car came ripping and blasting into our farm wagon. My father was astute enough to have my brother and I get off the wagon before he pulled it onto the road. So I just decided to start the story there as, with a different family and different structure and work it from there. And it just
In
kind of
different
developed.
circumstances, because you and your brother were okay. But in this book, one son is okay and the other one is not, right?
That's right, because in this book, the father was not astute enough to have the kids get off the wagon before he pulled onto the highway.
Yeah.
That made all the
Amazing.
difference.
Absolutely.
In our
Absolutely.
in our experience, the wagon and the wheat that was on it was destroyed, but no one was hurt.
Well, thank goodness your dad was quick thinking and that you guys were all okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the role of wind cows and what they
Well,
represent in terms of mental health.
I wanted to put as much stress on the family as I could to show what they do. That's kind of magic realism. I'll talk about that later. But
Mhm.
and one of the things is this boy was prescient in that he could see little bits and flashes of the future. And then he learns the hard way that he cannot change the future. But uh, in doing this, the boundaries of reality and imagination are kind of blurred, and the wind cows kind of come in to haunt him a little bit further.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely. It's very, very effective. And I do want to ask you, why did you choose magic realism instead of a more mainstream genre such as alternate universe?
well, I'll tell you, that's a good subject, and I'm warm to it.
Okay.
Mag universe, alternate universe, uh, changes the boundaries. You make up the rules as you go. And so people don't have to be tested so much because there's always a new rule that comes up. It's
Mhm.
like hitting the foul ball and they take it isn't foul, it's a real ball anymore. But in magical realism, it's a whole different because you have to deal with phenomena that you don't understand. And that has been explored quite a lot lately. But the books I write all have magic realism in them. And you have to deal with phenomena that you don't understand. This nature of this boy being able to see into the future, not much, but just a little bit, gives the whole book its core meaning and its core challenges. And that's what I like. I like to be able to get into things that are hard to deal with. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the whole point of it.
Exactly. Well, it's very effective and it works well, so we can see why you chose it. But I thought I'd ask you that anyway. Let me
That's
ask
very
you
kind
this.
of you.
The
Thank you.
father's refusal of help puts the family at risk. What's the deeper meaning behind that decision?
Well, the woman, what this does is it explores different levels of faith. And the mother is a person of blind faith. The father is a person of no faith. And
Mhm.
so his refusal to accept help is his own independent feeling that he doesn't want to participate in faith in any way, shape, or form. And so he puts the whole family at risk with his stubbornness. Uh, and that kind of go, you know, you play, they love each other very, very much, the mother and the father. They are very devoted, but they see the world very, very differently. And the mother tests the father constantly, and the father constantly refuses.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. How does guilt shape Sydney's emotional journey, and what does redemption look like for him?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think that the guilt and the feeling that he wants to make things better without having the tools to do so make him try things that he hasn't tried before. And he gets in all kinds of trouble doing that. It shapes him in that his relationships with the school, with his friends, everything has to change because he cannot compel the future. He knows it's coming, but he can't change it, and so he has to live with that feeling that maybe he could have done something.
Absolutely. The book also explores masculinity and emotional vulnerability. Talk to us
Mhm.
about that.
Well, he's coming of age. He's in the seventh grade and he's just coming of age and he's trying to find his place in the world. He doesn't know where it is. He doesn't know whether he wants to go with his father, which he originally does, but after some difficulties with his father's relationship, he shifts back into nowhere. He moves forward, and I think there's a little romance in it too,
Mhm.
which is part of masculinity.
Yeah.
And that romance starts out very badly, but it kind of develops into something that turns a little bit more real toward the end of the book. I don't want to tell you what the answers is,
Yeah.
what happens, but uh, his his coming of age is very definitely a part of the book, and this whole crux rests upon that, so that it's like a teeter-totter where he's on one and then it's something else and then something else, and he's challenged all the way along regarding that.
Yeah. James Patterson, in his master class, talks about the importance of raising the stakes. In your
Mhm.
book, the stakes keep climbing throughout the book. How did you maintain that tension?
You know, I don't know if you've ever written anything, but I don't care if anybody reads the book in a sense that I'm glad that I wrote it. I wrote
Mhm.
it for me as much as for anybody else, and it just kind of naturally happens. You can't pull punches. You have
Mhm.
to let the punches fly and you have to let them land, and then you deal with it, and then another punch comes and you let it land and you deal with that. And that's kind of how you raise the stakes. I just finished another book that I did that on, and it was quite satisfying. You know,
Yeah.
you'll hear about that later.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Have you envisioned this book as a film, perhaps?
You know, you can't help but doing that a little bit because when you're writing, you see the picture coming and you see it developing and you see it unrolling. I put a lot of imagery in there. I
Hmm.
like to write description, and I put a lot of imagery in there so that if it ever did, they'd know where to go.
Yep, absolutely. Well, there's great themes, emotionally, physically, settings that are intriguing, characters that are intriguing. So I think it'd be a terrific film. So Hollywood, if you're listening, here's a book that is ready to be
Thank you
translated.
so much, Logan. You're
Lots
a
of
very
exciting.
kind interviewer, and I appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure. No, it's well-deserved praise without a doubt. Let me ask you this. Tell me a little bit about your writing career, where this falls into the spectrum of your work and what you're working on now.
I was a photojournalist most of my career, but
Mhm.
I always wanted to be a writer. I started writing my first book when I was in my teenagers. It never got very far because I used the word lad and everybody laughed at me. And so I never used the word lad since then. But I have written 6 or 7 books and they developed me as a human being along with me developing them.
Mm,
But the goal is to make something that has its own life, that lives by itself, and that can carry on. It's like seeing a great piece of art, and I'm not a great writer. I'm not saying I'm a great writer, but it's like seeing a piece of art. And when you see that, it feels like it's alive. If you've
mhm.
ever seen the Mona Lisa or, any number of great drawings, they seem to be alive when you see them. They seem to be like a real person. And that's how I wanted my books to be.
And
To
what are you
have.
working on now? You're working on a new one?
I just finished one. It's called The Shape of Fire, and it's a story. You don't want to get into that too much, but it's a story of an old man, an atheist who is in a rest home, who undergoes so much pressure that he has to seek God because he has absolutely no other options.
That sounds like a fascinating topic. And I think being in an old age home would make converts out of a lot of folks. That's for sure. This
Yeah.
guy was an avowed atheist, I guess. So he found it harder than most, but I'd imagine eventually comes around. But that's a great exploration of
Yeah.
a terrific subject. The book, of course, is called Our Faith. Is there a
This our
message of
faith.
faith or spiritual endurance you hope readers will take away?
Well, I I was an atheist once. And I had my faith come to me. I think that the Lord came and got me. I wouldn't have ever come back if he hadn't. And that has brought me meaning and reality in life that I cannot avoid touching on in my writing. I simply can't avoid it. I think too much of what has been given to me.
Amazing, amazing. And you'll continue to write that in your next book about the fire and the old man in the nursing home. And I think
Right.
that's terrific. What advice would you give to readers facing their own crises and emotional burdens?
Well, uh, I can't help but avoid this. The Lord has saved me so many times and He has brought me so much happiness. I wouldn't be anything without Him. He gave me everything. He gave me my wife, my children, my job. He gave me everything. And I can only say, follow that path and you'll have everything.
Agreed, agreed 100%. The name of the book we've been talking about today is This Our Faith. It is written by John Leslie Hart. It is a suspenseful and spiritually charged journey through trauma, guilt, and the fight to believe in something greater. Thank you so much for joining us here today, John.
Thank you, Crawford. You're an amazing interviewer and you have really helped. And I wish you the very best in your career. And thank you for being so insightful and asking such good questions and pointing in that direction.
Well, I appreciate that. You were a great guest. It makes it easy for us interviewers, no doubt. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on
Thank you so much.
Spotlight. Thank you.